Hey everyone, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Critical Role Campaign 2, Episode 55, Duplicity.
Yes. Or as I would have called it, clusterfuck.
Really?
Kinda, yeah.
I think it's a little harsh, but
Well, and I'm gonna say Sam jinxed it. He opens the session making fun of Laura's dice habits, angering the dice gods. And then later he makes a joke at Friendly Fire killing someone, and then later on Friendly Fire kills someone.
okay, yeah. Well, that one I put into foreshadowing, and
Foreshadowing implies that he intended to do that.
didn't he?
Well, yeah, he may have.
I don't think he did, though. I don't think he did. Maybe on an unconscious level. I think Sam, just like Liam,
Yeah.
where Liam voiced his long-held desire to kill all of them. I think Sam also had some of that going on.
Yeah. In Liam's defense, he is loosely based or partially based on Raceland.
Yeah. But yeah, right off the bat, initiative.
Yeah.
Or virtually right off the bat. They do a couple skill checks.
Yeah.
Sam casts invisibility and starts scouting ahead. And I think it's probably my favorite thing about Not.
Her only weakness.
Yeah. I love that every time she gets into something, every time that she picks a lock, opens a chest, or what have, either doesn't bother checking for traps, doesn't find the trap, or fails to disarm the trap.
Yeah.
And this time she failed to detect the closets earlier.
Yep.
And I think I was surprised is the wrong word, but I was happy to see that Matt had other things down there.
Yeah.
We talked about last week's my list of potential other things that were down there.
Correct. Excuse me.
Closets were not on that list.
No. No, I totally blew over those because I thought they'd be too
low a level. But it was in an interesting way. Like, not only does it build the narrative of the caverns, but it also tempts the players to waste resources.
Yeah.
Which none of them really did.
No.
But we talked about this afternoon. That this would have been the perfect episode to do a turn-by-turn role-play breakdown. But we decided that would probably take as long as the show. I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
So I think one of us tried to shrink it down to the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, not casting invisibility, staying invisible.
Yeah.
She didn't really get involved in that first combat. She ran by it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, it was.
And playing a third caster right now, those spell slots are so precious.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you just don't want to give up that invisibility if you don't have to.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Jesters sharing knowledge. They're how'd she put it? Dodgy, or something like that.
Watch out, guys! They're dodgy.
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting development, and I don't recall her ever doing anything quite that specific. She's done stuff. I think she's done it maybe one other time.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
But usually it's Bo, after she does Flurry of Blows, who's disseminating that information.
Well, and that's become a more repetitive thing for Bo, and I think Jester's picking up on that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of Jester's whole, well, I can do that too, complex.
Yeah, I think that's probably the bigger part of it, for sure. We see Caleb sticking to his firebolt, both in attacking the closets and using it utility to clean up Jester's mess.
Yeah.
We saw a little bit of the macabre Jester in the chopping up of these things, which they had formed.
Closet bits.
Yeah. An empathic thing with. I don't want to say bond, but it was interesting to see Bo feeling bad for her victims as she's killing them.
I think that was more Marisha than Bo, really, because Marisha's reaction to these things is they're like gremlins. I like gremlins.
I can't argue against that, but she did incorporate it into her role play because
she did. Yeah, it was her reaction that she then incorporated into Bo, but it wasn't a Bo reaction.
Okay, I mean I think that's splitting hairs, but it is important for later on in the episode.
Yeah.
Caduceus is cautious in that first battle.
Mm-hmm.
And Ford is reckless, where he just charges ahead, runs down the corridor after the one that turned invisible, and then he shoots Eldritch Blast down as he rounds the corner, just shoots it blindly. And Matt was very nice and said, make your attack roll at disadvantage. He hits. Okay, roll a d6. And I think the reason he did that is because it's a corridor. It's only 10 feet.
Yeah.
Wide. There's a 50-50 chance
that he aimed at the right square with an invisible creature.
Yeah. So, and we did get confirmation, I would say, that Knott's going to start fucking with Ford. With her illusions and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, Ford, you killed me. And I think, I don't know if that put Travis in the mindset of wanting to get out of there. That might have just been the seed. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because he does kind of do a flip. The whole previous episode, and I even talked about it last week, how he stepped up and went to the front rather than leading by manipulation, getting everyone else to do things, and then he does that reckless, and then from then on, he's just even more cowardly than normal.
Yeah.
Which...
Yeah,
If I really wanted to pull a straw man, I could say, the backing out and leaving everyone else there, backing out the corridor is a sign of him being evil, but I don't think that was the intention at all.
No, I think he was trying to move everybody to run away.
Yeah.
And I think Sam had it right. There's no point in us running away. They're going to chase us down and kill us. We could do it here and now.
Yeah.
Which is why Sam was really in the running for my MVP for this episode. Mm-hmm. But I have to give it to Caleb, and it was really Liam, Sam, and Laura were my top three contenders. Even though Bo was clutch in the main fight, and she had some great moments. I just the way Liam played the turn and the charm and that whole thing.
and I know it was a dice thing, and not necessarily, but for me, the narrative in my brain is Caleb slipped back into a comfort zone where he was more confident for the time in the mental hospital before the second guessing himself because of what he had done to when he's being manipulated by an outside force. And he just took off with that. We're seeing the old Caleb that was out there in Trent's hit squad.
Yeah, I think.
And what Caleb is, because you notice, like, he was making save.
Yes.
What? Yeah, nope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the Caleb that worked for Trent.
Yeah, and I think Liam,
and
that's the mindset he went into, and I think it had to do with the fact he's almost more comfortable with that sort of mind control.
Yes, because two things. On one level, he's not to blame for his actions.
Yeah.
Later on, he'll blame himself, but in the moment, he's not to blame. So, and then the other thing is that gives you a freedom to be untapped. It gives you a freedom to let go of your own personal restraints.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's one of the reasons why they drill into people. You're just following orders.
Yeah.
Look, you don't have to worry about this. This is on me, not on you. But I need you to do. That's why leaders do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
but it's almost like, and I know, like, Caleb, and I think 50-50 on Liam, but Caleb would not have wanted to fail that and would have tried to resist it. But the failing just allows him to slip into a comfort zone. And I don't think he was interested in breaking that comfort zone. I think he was busy reveling in it.
I think there was certainly some part of that. And again, this is the argument we just had about Marisha and Bo. Mm-hmm. Liam and Caleb.
Yeah.
I think Liam was getting to play Caleb's subconscious in that scene.
Yeah. That's why I say 50-50 on Liam, whether he wanted to fail or succeed that wisdom save.
Yeah.
Really don't want to end the game now, but I really want to explore this.
Well, that initial roll, I think he definitely wanted to fail. And the second one, iffy. But Jester did a great thing. She's like, I'm moving away, so we're not all clustered.
Yeah.
So that we don't get hit with another fireball. But Caleb's got more than fireball up his sleeve.
Yeah.
And putting ourselves in a line didn't help.
And we talked about that. I love that part. Let me see your spell list. I think the bottom one, Matt. Yeah. Why are you helping him? Travis, it's what I would do.
Yeah. No, Travis and I were simpatico on this episode. Because...
As you are often.
Yes. Because I was standing up in front of my TV. Just like...
Yeah.
I love this episode.
Yeah, I did too.
And like at the end, Sam made the comment, this whole episode was combat.
Pretty close, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but that's not a bad thing.
Not always. Now, for me, let me caveat by saying for me, because everyone can have fun their own way. A full session of combat is not a bad thing. If every session is a full session of combat, it becomes a bad thing.
Fair. I also love Sam's... We're playing like 3 different encounters or 3 different games. I forget exactly how he worded it.
Yeah.
I'm sneaking... I'm in the next room. Jester's playing Butcher. And everyone else is sort of catching up with me. And I was like, yeah. That's about right.
Yeah.
And
that moment where Jester's cutting things up, and I just, my mind, my picture, I just see Jester just whacking away with this big smile on her face, just that childhood, and it really speaks to the traveler's influence on her.
Yeah.
Because the traveler is a trickster god. Mm-hmm. Trickster gods are notoriously, at their core, dark. Not evil, but dark.
Yeah.
And I think there's a seed of that in Jester that she doesn't realize and isn't at the forefront. And things like that bring that out,
Yeah. Also, let's talk about what Sprinkles and...
Sprinkles the immortal weasel.
Yes. But Sprinkles witnessed her chopping up that closet and doing so gleefully.
Yeah.
And so did the Blink dog. Nugget. Caduceus does the Grave Cleric thing and spares Nugget. Okay.
I mean, really, is it going to affect Sprinkles, though? Because Sprinkles is animal intelligence.
Yeah, I think it would affect you if you see the person that's been carrying you around that has drowned you twice.
No, we've stated it's even in the Kobold Soul Treasure of Knowledge that they can hold their breath for an inordinately large amount of time. There was no drowning, it was just taking her for a swim. And they can survive a wall of fire.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, the intelligent Blink dog, I can see it affecting much more.
Yeah. So we'll see how Nugget reacts if this changes Nugget's behavior. Sprinkles isn't a thing until they want it to be a thing.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to see Sprinkles try to run away now. I don't think it will happen. I'm not predicting that. It's just sort of, I want to see one of those animals try to get away from these people that are trying to kill him.
Yeah. I can see especially Nugget being very wary of Caleb. I know he didn't see he was around the corner, but he's intelligent. He understands language.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about this.
Yeah. Well, and so there was some confusion about where the fireball came from in the group.
Right. But Jester knew.
Yes, but in theory, they all should have known. Because there's a vocal component to fireball.
True.
So they would have heard Caleb casting it. But having the ignorance there made for a better story, I think.
Yeah.
Not knowing who to trust and everything, which plays into the name of the episode, of course. Matt was pretty selective about being okay casting while invisible this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, with the casting a message.
Yeah.
Do you think it was just overlooked unintentionally? Or do you think he's like, it's a cantrip that isn't attacking?
I think it was probably that line of thought. And also cutting them a little slack because Caleb also has message.
Yeah.
So
and it could be just
six of one, half dozen of the other that Caleb's casting to not and not
replying.
Yeah. So I didn't consider it a huge thing, but he did say to Caduceus, who wasn't going to be harming anyone, he was going to cast a healing spell after he turned invisible. But maybe it was a cantrip versus a spell.
Yeah.
In his mind, I don't know. But yeah, Caleb getting to bomb everybody. And
I like that he upcast it.
I don't know that he had a 3rd level spell slot.
Hmm.
I think that's why he cast it at 4th level.
I think it is just a choice.
Well, Laura certainly thought that in the middle of the session, but if memory serves, he had used his 3rd level spells prior.
Right.
I could be wrong, but he didn't cast any other 3rd level spells for the rest of the episode. So I think he was upcasting because he didn't have any 3rd level slots. And then, of course, Wall of Fire is 4th level.
Right.
And on my first watch, like in the moment after Bo stunned the Baylor.
Yeah.
Which, Matt's meaner than me, because Baylor's several levels higher than them. Plus the Succubi and their own team members.
Yeah, the Succubus and the Incubus and all the team members.
Yeah. That was pretty mean. But
pretty great at the same time.
It was pretty great.
You know, I was almost at one point, and we had talked about this in our discussion thread during the show, that I was almost hoping for a TPK to see how it would be handled on live stream.
Yeah.
You know, there was a part, not that I don't love the characters, not that I don't love the show, but there was a part of me that was just like, just wipe them out and see how it gets handled.
Yeah, it would make for an interesting question for all of them to answer.
It would make a great campaign wrap-up episode.
Yes, it would.
Spill the secrets.
Yes, it would. And it would be interesting to see, the 4 to 6 weeks of one-shots they're running while Matt's putting together a new campaign, and they're all making characters for it.
Well, the upside is they're just barely scratching halfway through a campaign, so he can still use all that endgame and just kind of repurpose it.
Yeah, which is probably what I would do in Matt's place, is think of a way to slot them into the story that's already being told.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that, you don't waste any of that prep that you've done.
Even if you have to rewind and start them in another area.
Yeah.
So that this is happening while that's happening.
Yeah. Because, if that had happened, probably what Matt would have done is start the new characters right after the attack on the Spire.
Yeah.
And the army marching out of Zadash.
Yeah.
Because then you could set it around Blade Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And we can actually see
what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be a perfect opportunity if you wanted to run like a gauntlet type of thing, where each of the players creates several characters, and we run through this battle, and he tries to kill as many of them as possible.
And the survivors are the new party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a great way to start a campaign, in my opinion.
It's a lot of fun as a player. I've not run a game starting that way, but I have played in some of yours, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But yeah, right off the bat, we see how afraid they are of Caleb.
Especially if you diversify your starting group. Yeah. So that it's not like, oh, I've just got 5 votes for whatever I want. It's like, no, this guy would vote this way.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, seeing how afraid they were of Caleb was great. And I think the next time Knott says that Caleb is the leader, we might get less pushback. In an odd way. Just because Caleb, boom, almost killed all of them by himself.
Yeah. Because, Drive's like, you almost took me out, man.
Yeah. And I think Yasha would have been a better choice for the Incubus to charm rather than Ford.
I agree.
And I brought this up. Is it metagaming for Matt to do that because Yasha has the lowest wisdom? Or is it metagaming, or is it not? Like, to choose or not to choose is either side of that coin metagaming from the DM's perspective.
It depends on the intention. My reason for saying you should have picked Yasha is Yasha didn't take as much damage.
Yeah.
Overall looked healthier than 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a percentage of how messed up are these people, she's the one that's the least. And I want the most out of this slave that I'm going to take.
In that sense, it's not metagame.
Yeah.
If you say, I'm going to pick Yasha because she's got a crap wisdom, it'll be an easy fail, that's metagaming. Because I want the guaranteed turncoat versus. Now, if she had taken the most damage, like everyone else had saved, and she had taken full damage, then yeah, one of the others would have been an appropriate choice.
Yeah. But as somebody who had a low wisdom barbarian in their party, and I put them up against the succubus, so much fun. It was so much fun. Nothing.
Yeah, well, it didn't help that the low wisdom barbarian was accompanied by a low wisdom thief.
It's true. It's very true. But yeah, the wizard for the AoE was a great choice in the sense that knock them all down, but nothing. Like when Grog, with the times that Grog got taken over,
yeah,
those were the scariest moments for Vox Machina in a lot of ways, because if Grog goes, he's going to take out each person one by one.
Yeah.
And that's why they always tried to do everything they can to limit the amount of turns that was happening. And this time they did their best with Yasha, but she just couldn't, even with advantage, could not make the save.
Yeah.
And because Matt had them be ethereal after the charm,
they couldn't
do anything. They couldn't hurt. They couldn't kill the person that's controlling them. Yep. Which now that this arc is over, because I kind of wanted to talk about it last week, but we didn't get around. Matt made them translucent, but still visible.
Yeah.
I have always read that and narrated that they go to the ethereal plane, which means they are no longer on the physical plane at all.
Right.
Which means that you're not seen, just like a phase spider. You don't see the phase spider when it goes on its ethereal jump. So that was an interesting narrative choice.
Right. Or the blink spell.
Yeah.
You're just gone.
Yeah. That was an interesting narrative choice on Matt's part. And that's the question that I would like to ask him. Other than the obvious answer of why you narrated that way, which the obvious answer is so that the players could see what was happening.
Yeah.
So they would know something's up. And also to sort of deal with the frustration of you see the fucker, but you can't do anything. So yeah. And like the reason why Laura was near the top for me on this episode was first avoiding the bunch after the first fireball.
Yeah.
And then she sees the rift. And instead of attacking the Baylor, and I love the way she narrated it, because it even tripped Matt up. Matt was even surprised. She's like, I'm going to aiming at him, and then I switch, and I target the rift, and I'm casting Dispel Magic. I was like,
well, I mean, to be fair, before she did that, she did try to banish the Baylor. Because the first,
was it before?
Yeah, the very first thing when the Baylor stepped out, because she goes, I see the big thing step out of the big slit in the wall, and I cast banishment. I've seen this before. That was her first thing, and that failed. And then it was a little later that she dispelled the rift, so nothing else would come through. So she had tried to get rid of the thing. It failed, so she's like, well, I'm not letting any of the others come through.
Yeah. But yeah, that was good because Matt even said
Yeah,
there was
could,
more
they
coming.
could hear
Yeah.
more in the coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know what he had lined up.
A TPK.
Well, would it have been more quasits? Would it have been?
There would probably be a
Maybe
group of quasits
Valgora?
in between each thing.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So quasits,
Quasit,
and then
the Baylor
another
quasits,
junior.
another thing quasits, another thing quasits.
Fair. Yeah.
Because basically it's these big things marching through, and all the little tiny quasits are just scurrying around all over them, so they're coming out in between.
Yeah. Fair. And then not choosing to attempt to incapacitate Caleb rather than just do damage to get the saving throw, which at that point I don't think they had put together yet. But still, she didn't want to hurt him, but she has this thing that will take him out of the fight.
But it wasn't a funny
joke.
You know, Zemnians and they're humorless.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to that third caster aspect, where Not didn't have the spell slots. To cast that same spell on Yasha.
Would she have?
I think so.
See, I think she would have just gone ahead and shot her.
Which is what she ended up doing.
For two reasons. One, it didn't work on Caleb.
Yeah, but she knows Caleb's mental stats are beefy.
Two, she doesn't care about Yasha as much as Caleb.
It's true. But yeah, so you talked about how Caleb was beefy and saving against everything that they were doing there. Yeah. And I think that when Ford cast Control Water and it didn't work, not only did it not work, it slammed him.
Yeah.
And like Matt even said, what Ukatoa and this creature can do together.
Mm-hmm.
And just all the little things that were almost asides and out of character statements. I think all led up to that moment where Ford was like, I can't do anything. We have to get out of here. Because even my biggest trick, the thing I worked for, that we all almost died for me to get, couldn't stop Caleb.
Yeah.
And if it can't stop Caleb, it's not going to do anything to these demons.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why he was like, I'm out. We got to go. We're out of here. At least that was my read on it. And I also loved how Bo basically has to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, fine. I'll have to do it. She's beating the hell out of it. She almost killed the succubus. She did get the final blow on the Baylor and did most of the damage to the Baylor.
Yes.
And she was the one that finally took Yasha.
You are in a toxic relationship.
So yes, that combined with her attitude towards killing the Quasits earlier, and the fact that she was hitting Caleb, she was hitting Yasha. Yeah. Like, I think we might see more of that going forward.
Yeah. That
idea that, because Bo already feels that she's poison to everybody.
Right, but I mean, and one of the things I really loved, and we talked about this earlier before stream, was that before she resorted to that, we're seeing her more and more using her fists as the fallback.
Yeah.
When her words don't work. Because the first thing she does is, Caleb, hey, we had a talk. Is this that moment? Are you okay?
or am I going to have to kill you?
What is going on? And that's the end of your turn.
Yeah. I think...
Fucking Liam, I love you, man.
Yeah, and I really do think that was the moment that Liam got MVP for me.
Yeah.
Was just his devilish grin going, that's the end of your turn. And I was like, yes. And she was like, that's the end of my turn.
Yeah.
So good.
And now she's got those awesome gloves.
Yeah, Boken Hadouken. Which I wanted to talk about that interesting choice, because the Baylor has a whip and a sword and the staff look. So it has a reach attack. But Matt reflavored it to give them a magic item.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting thing to do. Why he gave it to Bo, or like why he made this item for Bo to use, I don't know. I mean, arguably Jester could. I mean, any of them could use it, but
right. Yeah, and we talked it's most effective with a monk.
Yeah.
You know, and the only thing I can think of is to give her a little more range. Something she can do with range.
Yeah. Because
she's always saying, I don't have range, I have
Yeah.
to be up close. She used the darts. I think she got frustrated with the darts, which I agree with her. I think darts should be monk weapons, but they're not, because monk weapons are short swords and simple melee weapons, which darts are simple range. You know.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a way to give her a bit of range.
Fair. Caduceus is stymied the whole battle almost.
Yeah.
He wants to cast heroism? No. Beacon of Hope.
Yeah.
He thinks he can only see one person, so there's no point in that. Matt corrects him, says you can see 3 people. Well, that's half the party. Okay, fine, I'll cast it. While the fire goes away, he sees more. He recasts it. Do you think that maybe we see Caduceus patience is sort of the right word, but also not, because it wasn't really patience that stayed his hand, but like if he, maybe it's a desire for Caduceus to be able to heal max on everybody all the time, and he felt that maybe it was inefficient. But really, the recasting of that was really inefficient, because he was doing as much with his Sacred Flame as Laura put it. You did as much as my 3rd level spell.
Yeah. So here's okay, and that's true. I don't know what we'll see with that, but with Caduceus, he died.
Yeah.
I mean, flat out, he died. He was brought back. Now, when you grow up in a mortuary or a cemetery, like Caduceus did, like I did growing up, in real life, not in my character, you kind of look at death a little bit differently. But I think you dying and coming back, being brought back, it's gonna affect, how is that gonna affect him moving forward? I mean, he did get a vision, hey, you're on the right path from the Wild Mother. But, I mean, is this gonna upset his chill?
No.
Alter his chill? How is this gonna affect his relationship with Not?
Caduceus isn't going to know that Not killed him.
You don't think that's going to get mentioned in a party of people who don't know how to hold their tongue?
It might get mentioned. And if it does, it will be Not apologizing for it before anyone is like, hey, Not's the one that killed you.
Yeah. I mean, and what I know what Sam was thinking, but I don't know what Sam was thinking.
Yeah.
I hide. Bonus action. I'm going to move over here. Bonus action hide. I'm going to hold my action until an ally is engaged in melee combat. And I arm my explosive arrow.
Yeah.
I'm like, she didn't even need to be controlled.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she's going to get the sneak attack anyway because she's hidden. She doesn't need for them to be engaged.
Yes, but the other side of that is they seem to be playing with the notion that she doesn't know how well she's hidden. And that's an interesting headspace to play over again, especially when you're the one making the die roll.
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole other thing if the DM's the one making roll in secret.
Right.
So in that aspect, that's another version of RP in combat. Because, yeah, you think you're hidden. Maybe they see you, maybe they don't. But
see, that's where the waffle is, because she thinks she's great at everything but spotting things.
Sure.
You know, she hedges her bet and doesn't hedge her bet when it suits her, kind of thing. And she kind of flip-flops with that.
But Ford does eventually realize or accept that they are on death's ground, which, if you're unfamiliar with that term, is from Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Mm-hmm.
And he recommends that you do everything in your power, if you must engage, to make sure that your troops are on death's ground, because they will fight harder. And death's ground means they know victory and death are their only choice.
Yep.
And once Ford accepts that, we see him sack up, for lack of a better phraseology, and get in there and start throwing Eldritch Blasts like he could have, should have been.
Yeah. He definitely, there was an issue with that, you know.
Which, like I say, I loved everything about this episode.
Yeah, me too.
The players made a couple of mistakes, but they made them also in character, and it was made for better storytelling. So, yeah, we can sort of Monday morning quarterback backseat drive, that kind of thing, all we want. But I don't think anything in the moment that they did necessarily was horrible. Arguably, Caduceus recasting Beacon of Hope, and then there was another instance that I forgot. Anyway, it's not really that important anyway. But yeah, we had the Yo-Yo Caleb.
Yes. 4 times.
Yeah. And I love that Jester took credit for it.
Yeah.
Does Caleb believe that?
Yes.
You think he does?
I think he does.
Okay, perfect. Because that's also where I would like to land.
You know, this is the second time that Jester has literally dragged an unconscious Caleb from harm's way.
Yeah.
This has been multiple times where she has brought him back. She has shown, whether it be platonic or romantic, you know, there's people on both sides of that affection towards Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
He has no reason to believe that she didn't do that.
Fair. And yes, we do get the Traveler and Melora appearing in this episode.
Yes. And the Traveler's fairly well connected in the
Yeah. And then, so they have that moment, and it was a great moment. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then they investigate. They find the thing. Caleb identifies it, and they say, "We're going to put up the hut and take a long rest." And I was like, "You just took one, like an hour ago. You just got one." Like we talked about this last week. It was borderline.
It was borderline
taking
last time.
that long rest.
This time,
yeah, this time was way off. And I'm wondering if this Thursday the episode begins with Matt saying, "You guys can take a short rest."
Yeah.
And be secure inside the hut while you take it. And you won't have to worry about it. But you can't take a long rest.
It should either be that or him saying, okay, to take a long rest, you actually have to wait this long down there.
Yeah.
Because you have to
You're down here a whole other day.
Until you hit that point where you can take a new long rest and then take the long rest.
Yeah.
So
I think what we might see is Matt correct that. The players decide we can't be down here a whole other day because the goblin's going to sell our more bounders if we don't show up. So they collect their money or favor, they get the more bounders, and they take off. And then at the end of the travel, they take a long rest on the plane.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Okay, here's my concern. If I remember right, and I could be wrong, they made this lead box to fit the dodecahedron inside.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're putting a dimensional anchor in there. So either they made it bigger.
Dodecahedron's out.
Okay, the dodecahedron's in there so that the drow don't know can't track them.
If the dodecahedron is in the bag, they can't track it either. It being in the box is just another layer of protection while it's out on the material plane. I mean, the players may or may not realize that, but Matt knows that.
So,
and Matt, because of the security measures that they have taken, and that it's only exposed for the moment it takes for them to connect, I think Matt has written off that the drow aren't going to find it.
Okay. I mean, I know they're only keeping the dimensional anchor there long enough to dispel it. They want to get that long rest and then dispel it. But I was like,
if they can.
So they're gonna wake up from their long rest, get ready to dispel, and be surrounded by drow.
That would be funny. But I was assuming that they put the dodecahedron back in the bag.
Okay.
And I think that's probably where Matt will go. Because even if he asks,
the
players are going to say, "Oh, yeah, we put it back in the bag."
He does tend to err on that side anyway.
Yeah. And I think it's
I'm
sort
a
of
little bit meaner in that kind of a sense. I'm more like, well, you know, there are people actively seeking this thing.
If it hadn't been at the very end of a 4.5-hour session, maybe I might do that. But it was at the end of the session, so I would probably cut them some slack and err on the side that they just put the dodecahedron back in the bag.
Well, I've had a party of 7. I think they were 6th level at the time, maybe 7th level. Right, just a little behind the Mighty 9. Because they took 2 hours, practiced out this lie that their changeling rogue was going to deliver to an ancient red dragon that, like ancient, like lost its sight, or nearly could see, but only like real close to it. Practiced this lie, had this whole speech, gave me a 5-minute speech, and in that speech, the changeling referred to the person she was impersonating as a different person. Asked them 12 times, "Are you sure that's exactly what you want to say?" which to any seasoned player should be a tip-off. If the DM says, are you sure that's what you want to say? Are you really sure that's exactly what you want to say? And then they had to fight an ancient red dragon.
Yeah, see, that's fair. That's fair. So, last few minutes. I already talked about how I was wrong about the demons that were going to show up. The other thing that I'm fairly certain I was wrong about was my tirade about Laura's long game that she's playing with Jester and Ford.
Okay.
I had been, I mean, you can tell by the passion with which I delivered my argument that I was quite certain of that point of view. But I watched the Emerald City Comic-Con panel. And I also was watching a Talks Machnia cut of the Ford Jester questions that have come up and them answering. And now I'm not so sure about Laura's long game. Okay. I think in the beginning, that's what she was intent on. But I think Travis really got upset. And she saw that he was upset. And narratively, Ford gave her the window to, in character, pull back. And I think to satisfy Travis's desire and to step off of his uncomfortableness, because he seemed pretty genuinely uncomfortable by it in the beginning, that she did step back and she dropped it. And she had a narrative reason to do it, so it wasn't out of the blue. And I think Laura was happy with that. And because at Emerald City Comic-Con, Ford was joking around with the people and was all, keeping the ball in the air. And she's like, are you trying to invoke my wrath?
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that I was wrong, because I did state that this was going to be close to their relationship. And they basically did the same kind of thing. And maybe Travis has gotten over whatever reticence he had. Or maybe he's now
I think the whole Avantika arc got him over whatever. Any issues he had about relations in game pretty much ended there.
That is true. That's fair. That's fair. So yeah, I'm not as gung-ho that's going to happen. This episode made me consider, as you pointed out earlier, that there are people who are on board with the Caleb and Jester relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't know specifically what it was in the episode. But I think that might end up being, like, thinking back on this episode and what's happened before, that Caleb has encouraged her playfulness with him, her practical, the way she jokes with him. He has encouraged it. He's the only one that has done that.
Yeah.
And in this episode, like, Ford has just been doing nothing but piling on reasons why Jester might not want to be with him.
Yeah.
Since they went to the ocean. And, like, you compare his cowardice and running away in this episode versus Caleb. And even the whole character arc that the two of these men are on.
Yeah.
Their life journeys. Ford has largely been running away from what he is and what he has become. Caleb, despite the tremendous amount of pain that it causes him, is facing now. He spent 11 years in an asylum, his brain broken, his mind broken, in an attempt to run away from it, in an emotional sense. But now that he is in control of his faculties, he was healed. He is now confronting these things. And he's doing everything to do that.
Yeah.
And I think from Jester's point of view, that is more admirable. And, like, as my brain started going on this journey, I was like, she's the one that connected with him over Astrid.
Mm-hmm.
And he called her Astrid.
Yep.
So,
which that moment is where the Widow Jest shipping really took off.
Yeah. And at that point, in that moment, I was like, oh, no, it's just, he's drunk, whatever. But now I'm sort of on board with this, with the Caleb and Jester thing. That, and I know how uncomfortable it will make Laura and Liam to have more pressure put on them from the fans.
To go from twins to lovers?
Yes.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So I had to take a step back from what I was saying last week. But yeah, I think they'll potential double dealing for the favor. And that is, they will ask for the big favor that they want. And she will say, well, only the, what was the word Matt used? Do you remember? But the nobility, basically.
Yeah.
Only the nobility can see her and get something like that. So I will give you my favor and make you that. So basically, they did all this for virtually nothing.
Yeah. Oh, the consecuted.
Consecuted, yes. Where she offers them to make them yeah. As the favor. Which would be a pretty big favor.
Yeah.
And
that wouldn't be for nothing, though. That would get them in some places.
Yes. In some ways...
It wouldn't open any doors, but it would crack a lot of them.
Yes. Well, and if they wanted to make themselves more useful to Dyren, they take that deal.
Yeah.
Because that is arguably more useful to Dyren's mission than to theirs.
Yeah.
Because I think the best way to get Yeza is a smash and grab and GTFO.
Mm-hmm. But are they still coming?
This now makes 2 days without answer to Yeza's query.
I think by the time they get there, he'll have given up.
Yeah. I can see that. Or that he doubts completely.
Yeah. But by the time they talk to him again.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot different conversation.
Yeah. Well, especially where his jailers could be casting Detect Thoughts. And reading
Which is a great spell. Love that spell. Having a lot of fun with it, personally.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites as well. So yeah, they could be casting it and going in and talking to him. And just as part of whatever gloating and breaking they're going to do, say to him, no one's coming for you. And without thinking about it, without knowing, they'll say, but somebody is. And now they know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, oh, you think somebody's coming. Now he's in panic mode. Because now he knows.
Did the voices tell you that?
Yeah, exactly. So now they even twist that even more. And now he's really starting to wonder, is it them messing with me?
Yeah.
And so when they finally do get there, Yeza might not want to go with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do they head out of town next episode?
Yes.
Okay.
They head out of town next episode. I want to say they head out before the break.
No.
The big question is do they get to Gordranas by the end of the episode?
No.
You don't think so?
I think we have at least one full session of the travel.
Okay.
It's a fair distance away. Setting that up.
That's fair. And we will see on Thursday. You're going to go and enjoy Talks Machina.
Yes.
We will see you guys next week.
See ya.